Scientists at Oxford University showed that a very generic type drug, dexamethasone, has been very successful in cutting the death rate of seriously ill COVID patients. It cut the patients on ventilators, the risk of death, rather, of patients on ventilators by 1/3. So that's pretty good news.
Mm-hmm.
Domestically, as Kevin said, we had retail sales surge 17.7%. Of course, it's coming from a huge decline, um, but it was better than expected anyway. The consensus was for an increase of 9%. Uh, However, it's incremental improvement from the previous month, which was obviously got trashed, but
Mm-hmm.
sales are still down 6.1% year over year. But the market is going on sequential comparisons and not absolute numbers. There's also a Bloomberg report that the Trump administration is preparing a $1 trillion infrastructure plan. Probably is going to have hard time getting through Congress just before an election, as they are also working on another coronavirus relief bill. But the headline is resonating even if nothing comes of it. The other thing I wanted to cover, Kevin, is we had that big turnaround yesterday, and the reason that is being posited is, of course, that Fed announcement that they're going to buy corporate bonds directly. But this has already been out there, so it seems to be a little confusing to me. Just remember, on March 23rd, the Fed did say it would be purchasing corporate bonds in two facilities: the primary market corporate facility, or PMCCF, and the secondary market corporate credit facility, SMCCF. So the first one, the primary facility, was designed for companies to issue bonds directly to the Fed without getting banks involved. The secondary was put in there to allow purchases of bond ETFs and also regular corporate bonds, individual ones in the financial markets. The only criteria being the rating. Now, ETF purchases, as you know, have been going on for some time, but the logistics for setting up actual bond buying was a little trickier because there's a lot more things you got to keep track of, like the CUSIP numbers and everything on all these corporate bonds. So it took the Fed longer than expected to set up that infrastructure, and they're doing it, as you know, through BlackRock. They have now done so, and so they're starting to actually purchase those bonds today. But the thing is that the market seemed to act like, oh, wow, this is a new program, and it's not. They already said they were going to do it. It's just that
Mm-hmm.
now they're actually doing it. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Anyway.
Yeah, it almost sounded like the market listened, and what the market heard was now the Fed is buying individual equities.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a little bit exuberant
yeah, another,
reaction to
yeah,
already known details.
yeah. So they're buying bonds now, but they were said they were going to do it anyway. So
All right.
anyway, who knows? All right, that's all I got. We can do stocks in the news unless you have something else you want to talk about.
No, I think we're ready to go, Lee. Where do you want to begin with stocks in the news?
Very good. You're better at it than I am. All right, Lennar,
All
LEN.
right, a home builder, huh?
Yeah, they've been on a tear anyway. We've told you all about this group.
Ooh,
Yeah, see if we can
that's
break
that.
out of that previous high.
Mm-hmm.
Acting well. They had a profit of $1.65, handily beating the consensus of $1.18. Their revenue also beat, and their guidance was, they said, full home deliveries will be above the current consensus. They're seeing quite a rebound in home sales also as the economy reopens. T-Mobile, TMUS. So down a little bit as the FCC is calling for an investigation. As you know, or might know, they had a blackout of their service for 12 hours.
Oh, that's not
Uh,
good.
yeah. So on the other hand, the chart doesn't look that bad. There's a little pull off on negative news, but look at everything else's. Look at that unbalanced volume supporting that.
Yeah, that OBV was standing out to me as well, Lee. Since this little consolidation's been going on for the last 2 weeks here, and the OBV has just been climbing, even though price has gone sideways. So that's a pretty good heads up.
Yep. Okay, let's see what else here. Chesapeake Energy, CHK, one of these bankrupt ones.
Uh-huh.
That just shows you the speculative asset. They bankrupt stock shoots up, comes back down. They are preparing to file as soon as this week. They are apparently in the final stages to negotiate a $900 million loan to support operations while they're in bankruptcy. But generally speaking, in Chapter 11's, common shareholders tend to get wiped out.
And they tend to get hosed, don't they?
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Put up Royalty Pharmaceuticals. It's a new issue today. RPRX. First day of trading.
Okay.
It is the second largest pharmaceutical IPO on record. They raised 2.18 billion. Maybe it hasn't actually started trading yet, or has it? Yeah, there has.
You say it's a new issue, Lee?
They said initial public offering at $28.
All right.
I think that's the wrong. No, the symbol is RPRX.
Yeah.
And I got the symbol.
That's all right. But the name's right. You said Royalty Pharma.
Yeah. All right.
I wonder if it's a restructuring. Lee, we've seen a few of these going lately.
Yeah.
In my mind, the one that comes to mind is DraftKings, that was acquired by a different company or merged with a different company. They had an old symbol. They did a reset of the symbol. You get the chart history.
Yeah, I
Even
think
though
that's
the
probably
symbol
what's
change.
going. Yeah, that's probably what's going on. Apologize for not looking at that one a little bit more in detail.
Still interesting. They're always interestingly. Come on.
Yeah. Also, we talked about the retail sales number. Let's look at Tanger Factory Outlets, SKT. Yeah, so they're up almost 9%. And they said 72% of their occupied stores were open as of Sunday, and that weekly traffic has exceeded 90% of prior year levels.
Wow.
So I guess there's some pent-up demand out there.
Yeah, that stands to reason. Sure. Okay.
Okay. Delta, DAL. So up 6%. Reopening stocks are doing well today. And they said they are going to resume passenger flights to China. So positive news there. All right. Let's take a look at the always in the news, Moderna, mRNA. All right. Taking a little bit of a pullback. They did say that efficacy data for the COVID vaccine they're working on should be available by Thanksgiving.
Boy, Lee, the on-balance volume here keeps climbing, but there does seem to be a ceiling there at about 67.5, doesn't there?
Yeah. With the unbalanced volume, you would think it's leading. You would think that probably would lead to a breakout there.
Yeah, but I've seen head fakes before.
Yep.
Might need a test of some support before it could do that even, but the OBV looks great on this, so it's giving you a little bit of mixed signal here.
Yeah.
RSI is also telling you something similar, mixed signals here.
Okay, let's look at some analyst action. So Cisco, CSCO. Okay, dokie. Merrill Lynch upgraded them to a buy from neutral.
Really nice bounce up to 50 here.
Yeah, certainly looks like we're gonna go test that last swing high there.
Yeah, at least this, followed by
Probably
this,
that.
if we can
Probably
get
that.
there. Yep.
Yep. Lamb Research in the semis.
A little hot today. That whole group up 3%.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah. Breaking out. Breaking
yeah.
out. Okay, so teaching moment. Teaching moment. Let's look at the intraday volume so you can evaluate if this breakout's got a chance.
All right. So we're going to use
So,
the 5-minute bars here.
and we look at, explain that study again for our
Sure
newbies,
thing,
Kevin.
everybody. This is called our average volume over time study. What this does is it relates the volume at this time of the day at a default level over the last 5 trading days. And so what it's ultimately telling you is how much volume do you have today relative to the average of the last 5 days at this moment in time in the day. So we're 45 minutes into the trading day, and over the last 5 trading days, the average suggests we are up 57% above that average today. So one would look at this move and say, hey, that validates the upside we're getting today, a 6% pop with good volume, because the one thing we know about volume is it's not linear, so it doesn't go same throughout the day. We often see volume spike in that first hour, spike in that last hour, and it can be difficult to look at this volume bar down here and say, well, boy, this volume looks great for the day, or it looks weak for the day. And that's exactly what the average volume over time study can do for you here. So it really kind of validates things. The way you get it added, of course, is through the View All Studies box, or of course a right click here, add study from volume, and it sits right here, average volume over time. Again, the default is 5 days, but you can always set that to a more customized number depending on your strategy. How'd that sound, Lee?
That was wonderful.
All right,
Wonderful.
great.
All right, Molina Healthcare, MLH.
MLH?
Oh,
OH, sorry.
Trying to recapture the 50 here. We'll see what happens. Anyway, they were upgraded at Cohen to outperform from neutral. So
That's an interesting support it found, Lee.
yeah, it did. Look at that tail went right down there, and they bought it right up, and now we're above the 50. Looks like maybe the pullback could be over.
If this is something that you've been watching as by any stretch, everybody, position investors, this starts to set up a lot differently now that it's tested that breakout point, Lee. It's one of my one of the patterns that I like to look for: the breakout, the throwback to the breakout point, the test of support at the breakout point, and then moving back upward from there.
Yeah, you've got that range in there. So what's the measured move here?
Measured move here is about 53 points. We can call it 50 just to be safe. So a 50-point range on the breakout could consider 50 to to the upside. So 160 to 210, Lee, approximately.
Yep.
So, of course, remember, all measured moves are merely estimations. It's just a good way to kind of maybe make a decision as to where you might start to peel shares off of a winning trade. They're never a foregone conclusion, of course.
All right, Qualcomm.
All right, Lee, Qualcomm. There you go.
Up looks like it.
Oh, that's the wrong one. I'm sorry. I heard Broadcom. I know.
Sorry.
Yeah, there's too many comms. My brain's got a lot of old symbols in there, and never know what you're gonna get sometimes. All right, that's a little better. At least it's the accurate symbol. Let's say that.
Yeah. Well, so kind of found gap support yesterday at the low, and then has bounced here because of an upgrade at Morgan Stanley. They put the stock at overweight from neutral.
Okay.
There's also a couple of downgrades, though, by Morgan
Uh-oh.
Stanley, of very popular stocks. They downgraded Intel and they downgraded NVIDIA.
Oh, well, that would explain. I saw Nvidia lower today, but I was trying to figure out how the stocks could be up 3% and Nvidia was getting whacked. So Intel's still up 2%, Nvidia off 1.5%. But you'd have to say that it's done an all right job here in the neighborhood of this 345. This candle here was pretty insightful. They bought the heck out of that. I think you basically look at the top of the gap here for good support. That's interesting.
Yeah, maybe we'll go down and test that support. If it closes like this, that'd be a dark cloud cover candle.
It would. Let's see how the volume is today, because usually you get good volume on those days, right?
Yeah.
Up about 16%. So,
Yeah.
hmm.
So at least today, not all semis are created equal, apparently.
Apparently.
All right, we got a
Here's
question.
on,
Yeah, go ahead.
you're already on it, Lee. I'll let you go. I can see you working.
Yeah. So we got the Eli Lilly. Yeah, that's up. We have a question on that one. Is it in the news? Yes, it is. Yeah, they said they were doing a late stage study on their breast cancer treatment called Verzenio, and it met its main goal. So very good news there, both for Eli Lilly and for patients.
Absolutely.
So really good news there. Okay, anything else on my hit list here? We got a couple of reiterations. So Apple was already reiterated outperform its city.
Okay.
And see if they put a target on it, but certainly helping the indexes when that goes up.
Oh, look at that, Lee. Breakout.
Test the breakout.
Lovely little flag. Breaking out of the breakout of the flag that's done here now. Look at that. I kind of like the look of that from a chart standpoint, Lee.
Yep. And interestingly, if you're, let's see, DocuSign, DOCU.
Yeah, they had a huge day yesterday. Nice pop.
Yeah, the reason is they are being, I guess it came out, I don't know when the news came up, but they're going to be replacing United Airlines in the NASDAQ 100.
Okay. So just a little bit of profit taking probably on today.
Yeah, we got some other index changes too if you're interested. Let's see, Taylor Technologies, TYL, is going into the S&P 500 on June 22nd. And yeah, we told you about UAL. And then Harley Davidson is getting kicked out of the S&P 500, being replaced by symbol BIO. But I mean, sometimes when you have these index changes, remember they'll take it out of the S&P 500 maybe by market cap, but it'll go into the S&P 400 or something. So it's not always that it's although there's more indexing obviously to the S&P 500 than some of the others. So usually it's a little bit of a boost.
All right, Lee. That's a lot to go through. I think that pretty much runs it, doesn't it?
That's it. That's all I could find of any interest.
All right, let's just take a look at the S&P. Let's try to talk about these indices a little bit quickly, and let's move into the sector action. So you're seeing a nice test of support here. We had a great bounce. we mentioned the necessity to kind of test the 200 day after having been above it for about 3 weeks here. So you can see that we threw this back right to the 200, 3 days to kind of test support, and now we've popped off of it. I think this just re-solidifies support here at this area, right around 29.75. 50 days coming up nicely, Lee. We're probably a week plus out from a 50-day crossing the 200-day to the upside, the lovely golden cross as it's referred, and kind of continue to see if this momentum holds. So looking good.
Yeah, I mean, clear levels there like you have.
Yep.
We had a question on the bearish island reversal we had up there. You can see those 4 candles, the gap up, and then we gap down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a breakdown from a island top is negative, and we already had the pullback from that. So now we're trying to fill the gap. But
The number here to eyeball is 3163. It's the low of this gap. 3164, let's call it.
yeah,
And that's pretty much the area where the S&P is going to say, all right, if we've pushed through 3164, we've got reason to believe we're going to continue going higher. So that's the area that I think we're going to have to eyeball here. I wonder if that meets up with anything in the intra-period charts here. There's 3150. And yeah, so above 30, wow. You see what the S&P is thinking about 3150 here, can't you, Lee?
mm-hmm.
At least the traders who trade the S&P are sure eyeballing 3150 here. So keep an eye out for this, everybody. If we can pop through R2 here, this would be really interesting for the rest of the day, because R3 is pretty far away there, Lee.
Yeah.
That's 115 points. 115 S&P points, mind you. That used to not happen all that frequently.
That's right.
So that's kind of interesting, something to watch here today. Now the NASDAQ has done a nice bounce back too, a couple hundred points here. Similar situation. Hide this here. So our breakout here, note here, everybody, I mean, we've basically been using the 20 on the NASDAQ here. So the retreat to the 20-day, we did not get back to all the way to the top of the gap here, Lee, at the green line, 93.20 approximately. So this little throwback was right to the trend line, the 20-day moving average, which again solidifies the 20 as the most important probably for the intermediate future here going forward.
Yep, very good. Very good.
All right, let's try the Russell.
Let's see. Put the S&P back up. We had a question on the RSI, I think.
All right.
On the indices.
We know Lee aims to please. Let's see what we have.
Well, I guess you'd have to.
Test.
Yeah, I think you'd have to say. I mean, we certainly didn't get a momentum divergence at the last high last week.
Right.
And the pullback didn't even take us basically to much below 50. That is bull market behavior on the RSI.
Absolutely. We like to see that. Boy, that looks interesting. Okay, the Russell. So the story here is we'll see you're getting a really good market day for both energy and finance again, and it's really given some boost to the Russell. The Russell, let me hide my support and resistance lines here because I think they're kind of getting in the way. The 20-day held here, even though we were below it for a bit. We had kind of had your metal tested, I would suggest here, with the action in the last 3 days here, being below 20, but it found horizontal support here, Lee.
Yeah.
Similar situation with the RSI. You got below the 50 level, but not much below it. Notice that the lows on these pullbacks, everybody, are basically the same level in the RSI. And so, yeah, you can use the RSI, a support on the RSI, resistance on the RSI to also offer insight for you. So, this is a improving chart, I would say, Lee, for sure.
Yes, indeed.
All right, quick run on the transports, which again are getting a nice little bounce. This is probably a big bounce on, some positivity around the Jets again. But also, if there is, in fact, discussion around an infrastructure bill, this is a group that's going to probably participate in that.
Yeah, and we had the good news out of United too. So somebody wanted to see so let's look at the Jets, look at the airlines as a whole.
Okay. Yep, right to the 20 again. Look at that.
Volatile group.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, you got to be willing to play it. If you're you got to be willing to manage that volatility. That's a 5-point range it's had here, Lee. That's just a week. It just came from 22 back to 17. So yeah, volatility for sure.
yeah, although higher highs and higher lows. So
Yep. Lee, I mentioned the financials are doing okay today, up about 3%. The 10-year, again, moving in the direction we want to see. That would be the positive narrative for the widening of the 10-2 yield spread. So we like to see the 10-year rising. Notice we held support pretty well when we got tossed back here, didn't we?
yeah,
So that looks
we're
pretty
still
interesting for the
yeah
financials too.
yeah. Well, hopefully we can. We tried to break out last time and we had that failure. Maybe we can, that horizontal support up there at the top of the range
Mm-hmm.
around, what is that? 3/4. Yeah. Down, 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 down. Right there.
You're
Yeah.
right there. Sorry. Got you right at 3/4. You're right.
Yeah. So this is another breakout attempt. Hopefully this time it'll stick. That'd be
Mm-hmm.
good for the financials if it can.
Yes, it would. Check out the energy group here, Lee.
Well, hell,
Horizontal support and coincident with the 50.
yeah. So I think the 50 for position traders is something to take a watch.
Yeah, I like that. I'll put a support line in here because this is certainly seen some action at that 37.5 range. That's interesting. So industrials are popping here. Boy, it's like everything found support and decided that was good.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember the transports are part of industrials.
Mm-hmm. This little retreat here looks about spot on. Did get below the 20, but right back up through it.
Looks like a test of the 200 again might be in the cards here.
Yeah, right overhead at 74. Still a few points away. Let's check that semiconductors. We talked about a number of upgrades here. Positive group, strong group that has been leading. You had RSI confirmation on the last highs up here. Got thrown back to the 20-day and is challenging. These were the prior highs, so it's kind of working through those. Now it looks like it's ready to go ahead and test those highs from just last week. About 276 up here.
Yeah, we had a there was also a report that the government said that U.S. firms can engage with Huawei to try to do 5G standards. So maybe that's giving a little bit of a because they're banned from doing a lot with them, but that was a little bit of incremental good news also.
Yeah, this group, I'll tell you,
Looks like a test of the highs.
yeah, it sure does. I mean, 7.6 points away from here, not a huge move on deck to get there at least. It wouldn't take much. So keep watching this. You know,
But
the interesting thing I thought, Lee, was that the retail group is not as hot as everything else, even though we are really, really optimistic with a positive retail sales number today.
yeah, what's the RTH doing?
Yeah, about 2.5%.
Eh,
Not ugly, that's for
not
sure.
ugly. Yep.
Boy, look at the RSI here. It didn't even get to the 50 level.
Yeah.
That's cool. Here's the XLY. Yeah. So this certainly follows the narrative of pent up demand, huh?
Yep. Do the RCD. Take out Amazon.
Sure. Let's
And
see
the
how.
XLY. This is the equal weighted consumer discretionary. You can see it's a lot weaker
Mm-hmm.
because it equal weights Amazon. But at least it's going in the right direction. Actually, it's up a little bit more than the XLY, so that's actually good. Tested
So
at 200 days there, I think.
yeah, I would say so. I mean, it's just overhead at 96.75, not too far off. You know, any real momentum could carry it through even 90, 99 here, and then you're looking at the high there, 101 and 75, 102 almost. Um,
We had a question.
so
We had a question on steel SLX. Why is it?
yeah,
Why is it moving? Because of the proposed $1 trillion infrastructure plan.
yeah, still trying to get out of that long-term downtrend, isn't it?
Yeah,
This short-term move has been really bullish. Short-term
probably drift up there to the
drop this
tested
number
trend. Yeah, right there.
there.
Yep.
Boy, look at all the confluence of data there, Lee.
Yeah. So
High, 200-day,
horizontal support, downtrend line.
very important area to get above.
So that just says that the first attempt to get through there probably won't work, but subsequent attempts might. But where there's that much resistance, first
Um,
first attempt might not go
yeah, usually
totally through it.
it can take some time or momentum, maybe like a news story that can lead it through, right? Those are the kind of things that can manage that, or it can at least give it the opportunity to pop through.
Yeah, so we had a question, what a breakout is. Well, if you see an area which
Mhm.
has acted as, put up the TNX chart.
Sure.
How to explain it. Yeah, so go down, yeah, zoom in a little bit. So notice how all the highs, yeah, we're right there. So when it went through those highs, that means up to that point, the sellers, every time it got up there, were more powerful than the buyers, so it put it down. That time it went through, that's what we call a breakout. It means this time the buyers overwhelmed the sellers, and often that means a sustained move higher. To your question about a fake out is when you break out, but very soon go right back into the range that you were in.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to, so it's called a failed breakout or a fake out.
And this is a prime example.
Right.
Not,
So
not only did we break out, but instead of the ideal thing being thrown back to the breakout point for a test, we fell through that and all the way back down to the supporting range, which was this uptrending segment line that I've drawn in, which appears to be, now held.
right. All right. Well, energy is moving again. Let's take a look at
Yeah,
XLE.
really is. Going to be a bit volatile, but Lee, I mean, a risk reward setup is pretty good here.
Yeah,
First
put up the
shot at the
20 day.
200-day.
Put up the 20 day in the. All right. So breaking above the 20 which had
Mhm.
resistance the last 3 days. Just for fun, let us screen in energy, A's
Yeah,
and B's above the 20.
I like that. Let's see. All right. Bullish energy. Let's check out our criteria. Okay, well, that's for all energy industries and sub-industries. We'll remove this one, change this from the 50 to the 20-day. Average volume of 500,000 shares over the last 6 months. And we want the A's and the B's from the Schwab equity rating side of things. So we're getting well rated on the longer term scale there from the Schwab equity rating. So I will save this as a watch list. We've got a good group with a few stocks we probably recognize.
Yeah, let's start with
Those jump out.
let's start with Chevron. It's interesting that Exxon's not on the list, but Chevron is.
I thought it was interesting too. I'm going to go ahead and do Chevron and then I'll load the list, which will take a quick sec. So go ahead, Lee. What do you see here?
Well, right now I can't. It's not a convincing breakout of the 20 yet. I would like to see it close above there. We also have that horizontal resistance up there about 60. I mean, excuse me, 96. Yeah.
Yeah, right here.
So I think I would wait for that. Or if you want to try to front run it, that's okay too. Maybe do fewer shares and you put a stop under, 87.
Yeah, or the low from yesterday,
Yeah, either one.
88.21. That low moves below yesterday's low would be kind of tough to take because
Right.
it would certainly suggest there's a possibility of a breakdown. Some traders might want to see a break below this low 86.02. That would be a definitive lower low. That would be a point where a lot of traders might exit the trade entirely. So maybe you set a couple of levels and you piece out of it at those levels.
All right, ConocoPhillips.
Sure.
Very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Although, well, yeah, it's pretty similar looking. You got a little bit more downside risk on this one though. You could get down to 37 and test that level. I think maybe to try to get your risk to reward better, maybe a stop under yesterday's low, like you said, Kevin, on that one.
Yeah, I think so too, Lee. But I don't like the I just don't like the look of the chart nearly as much for some reason. It just doesn't quite speak to me the way that I would prefer.
Yeah, Chevron looks a little better.
Yeah. We had a request for REGI. A little bit choppy, but
Still higher highs and higher lows on major pullbacks. That's
uh-huh.
good. Back above the 20, but we are running in. That tail is right at those previous highs last week,
Mm-hmm.
though.
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Notice it did breathe there, but the RSI looks all right. Good behavior from it.
Yeah, it just depends on if your target would probably be that previous high from last week. You just have to set your risks so you have a positive risk to reward, which you could do with a stop under today's low, which would also be under the 20-day moving average.
Yeah, a little bit more volatility.
Yeah,
You
it's a
want
choppier
necessarily,
chart than
but
some of the other ones. Yeah,
yeah, but I gotta say,
it's,
Lee,
it's
I think this ledge here represents the most support.
yeah, that'd be for a position trader. That's what
Mm-hmm.
you want to watch. That's a little too far away from the current price, maybe for a swing trade to set your risk. It's probably a little less
The
than
1-to-1.
1 to the old high.
Mm-hmm.
But if you like it longer term, like more of a position trade, absolutely that's the level you should use where Kevin put that line.
All right.
Right.
Thanks. I love it when you guys do the homework for us. Thanks, Don, letting us know that Exxon's rated a C. That's why it didn't make the cut, Lee.
All right, so that means that Chevron versus Exxon.
All right. I think we had a request for HP. Now this is a little more interesting setup.
Put
for
it in the octagon, right? Have them go after it. Okay.
This chart looks a little better to me,
HP.
and it's because of this. This is one of those patented breakout, throw back to the breakout spot. Now it's coincident with a 20-day. Getting a decent pop here. Position traders would like this 2075 ledge to be held on pretty confidently, but you know, the trend traders are going to eyeball the 20, I'd bet, from here. But you
Yeah.
can see it doesn't seem, I mean, maybe now it might start to pay more attention to the 20-day now that it's breaking and starting to trend a little. You'll notice that as it was going really sideways and kind of correcting this huge sell-off, the 20 was rather inconsequential to price action and through here. But here is where it really, well, actually, I guess it was here where it first really took out the 20 and then confirmed the 20 as support. So it's basically been since May 18, almost a full monthly, that the 20 looks really, really instructive for this one. What do you think?
Yeah. And we're filling the gap again too. So we already filled it on. So definitely I could see a run fairly quickly up to that 27. Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of interesting. Just one final check here for y'all and see what volume looks like today on the move. A little weak at this point. Started hot, pulled back to some support here. You'd like to see it kind of stop the breath it's taking right about here, but it could easily drift. 23 could be short-term support too here. So got some positivity though there, Lee.
Alrighty, and our time is up. What is coming up next
That
here,
covers
Kevin?
us for today, Lee. Up next, we have how to manage options positions. That's with senior derivative trading strategist Nina Melvatz. A little later today, Lee returns for the daily charting the markets. Lee is joined today by Schwab Senior Wealth Advisor Skylar Marin. So make sure to check the calendar below and join us for another segment real soon, everybody. Hope you all have a fantastic rest of your trading day. We'll see you tomorrow for Trader Talk, 10 a.m. Eastern. Bye, everyone.